Here's another special edition of Misquote Monday. It combines 5 previously released episodes. Did C.S. Lewis really say, "Getting over a painful experience is much like crossing monkey bars. Let go to move forward"? This is one of several motivational quotes falsely associated with Lewis. A slightly longer version of this expression states, "Getting over a painful experience is much like crossing monkey bars. You have to let go at some point in order to move forward." In addition to this version being attributed to unknown, we do know that it is not very likely Lewis was familiar with the words monkey bars, as that term only came into print about 30 years after he was born. Jungle Jim is more likely the expression he'd use, if he ever had a reason to. While Lewis wrote about pain at various times, there is one interesting letter that reveals the struggle he had when his wife was in poor health. She died nearly 15 months later. Did C.S. Lewis really say, "You don't have a soul, you are a soul, you have a body"? This quotation raises a lot of red flags for some, as they believe it advocates Gnosticism, a perspective that considers the body as evil. Regardless, there are 2 possible sources for this expression not found in the writings of C.S. Lewis. The first relates to George MacDonald's writings. An article from 2012 traced a version of this quote to an article from 1892, 6 years before Lewis was born. MacDonald was quoted saying, "Never tell a child, 'You have a soul.' Teach him you are a soul, you have a body." Additionally, one of his fictional books from 1867 has something similar. Finally, more recently, a novel by Walter M. Miller Jr. likewise contains comparable wording. Did C.S. Lewis really say, "When the whole world is running towards a cliff, he who is running in the opposite direction appears to have lost his mind"? Since the Misquotable C.S. Lewis came out in 2018, this is one of the many additional quotations I discovered falsely credited to him. I first wrote about it on my website, essentialcslewis.com, in 2020. As with some expressions that Lewis didn't write, this one makes a valid and useful observation. However, that does not take away from the fact that it is not found in any of his writings. It is found in a 1997 book, Faithful for Life, which claims Lewis is the author without citing a source. It's possibly a paraphrase of ideas that Paul Marks, the author of that book, took away from something he believed was by Lewis. Did C.S. Lewis really say, "Life with God is not immunity from difficulties, but peace in difficulties"? Lewis wrote so many words of comfort and encouragement that it is a shame people keep sharing quotations falsely credited to him. One great collection of encouraging words is Yours, Jack, Spiritual Direction from C.S. Lewis. Its 400 pages are pulled from the several thousand pages of the 3 volumes of collected letters. My original research traced a one-word variation of this expression to a book from the 1930s entitled God Calling. It was edited by author James Russell, a London newspaperman who was associated with the Oxford Group. Lewis was not part of that group, but he did teach at Oxford University. This is a possible reason the variation is wrongly associated with Jack. Did C.S. Lewis really say, "Failures, repeated failures, are fingerposts on the road to achievement. One fails forward towards success"? Even though he was a successful writer, Lewis was familiar with failure, though he didn't write this quote. Lewis first wanted to be a poet, but it became an unrealized dream after 2 attempts. Before his success on BBC Radio, which led to the popular book Mere Christianity, he wrote, in 1941, about being a complete failure at speaking to non-academic audiences. Interestingly, it was in the 1940s that I found Charles Keddington's name attached to this quote. Initially in the Australian Journal of Instrument Technology, Reader's Digest shared it in 1944. In the context of overcoming temptations, Lewis wrote the following about failure in a letter to Mary Nealon.